Okay, Michael Avatar here from Thailand, born in Sweden. Biofeedback and how it can help you. That's the subject today. Uh, Biofeedback is something that measure your uh, unconscious things like breathing, heartbeat, sweat on your hands, the oxygen, if it's 100% or 97%, it's the things that when you come to the hospital, they check your blood pressure and stuff like that. So in the 80s, I came up on this, how to measure. And feedback, biofeedback, it's about instant feedback. It's now, it's not feedback from 2 minutes. It's feedback less than a second. Today, there's a lot of equipment that have feedback. You can have the watch, popular watch, they measure your footsteps and so on, but they also measure some of them, the breathing pattern, the heart pattern, and so on. So today it's very common to have biofeedback equipment. In the 80s, it was not common. In the 19s, it was not common. Mostly sportsmen had it, but not everyone. So I did studies on this. I have tested probably thousands of people with biofeedback equipment. The measure, the equipment I used, it cost like $50,000, $500,000 Swedish crown. They were very, very expensive in the 19s. I was with a science team and I helped assist a professor, and we had this crazy idea about people with cerebral palsy, like myself, how their breathing pattern were. So we put equipment on people with cerebral palsy, and who is better to test them than a person who has cerebral palsy. So we put something here for the sweat. We push for the level of oxygen. I don't know the name in English. We put two around here to measure if you breathe from up or if you breathe from your stomach. And there was some more equipment we put to measure. And then we had like a 10-minute session. Maybe it was 12, maybe it was 7. This is 30 years ago. It's a long, long time ago I did this. And stress them in different way. I like counting backwards from 100, like thinking about spiders, snakes, whatever, is different part of the brain that activates. And then we see the breathing pattern, how the sweat is, how the oxygen is, and so on. And what you can see here is how people react. And it's very important to understand, for example, my pulse is very, very low. My resting pulse, I don't know if you say resting pulse, sorry about my English, is under 40. I think it's 38 or something like that. I know the famous tennis player Björn Borg has 36. The skier Gunde, he was famous in the 19th, was 27. I only have 38. Why is that important to know? Because when I come to the hospital and I have a pulse of 70, if you have a resting pulse of 60, that's normal. And 70, then you are quite well. But if you have under 40 and have 70 resting pulse, that's high. It's like a person with 60 have 100 resting pulse. Something is in the system. So that's why it's important to know some of this stuff when you go to hospital and so on. But even over a day, it's important to understand to measure your pulse, or if you feel your hand are sweaty, or there's kind of something going on in your system, to be aware of. It's kind of biofeedback, to check your pulse, to check, do you breathe from your stomach or from up here? It's very easy when you are aware about this stuff. And why is this important? Because I voluntarily stress myself by doing live broadcasts, because I know if I've done 40, 50, 60, I don't get stressed. So I can talk more relaxed. So I like training my parasympathetic system to be cooler in a stress situation. So that's what biofeedback is all about, to be aware of yourself and measure something instantly. So you can instantly feel, put your hand on your stomach, then you know where is your breathing coming from, and so on and so on. So this is really important. The more aware you are about your parasympathetic system, parasympathetic you can't really control, but you can affect it, like breathing slower, like, and your heartbeat will go down, but you can't really tell your heart to stop. Mentally, please stop my heart for 3 days. It would be nice to just cut out, take a 3-day break from heart beating or breathing or whatever. But it's not mentally possible. I was dead for, they say, 45 minutes, but it wasn't my awareness that did that. It was my mom was beat up from my father, so I was born more early. So it was like traumatic event for my mother, and I had no oxygen for like 45 minutes when I came out. That's not voluntary stop breathing, stop heartbeat. What I mean is willingly use your mind to do this. So if you have more knowledge about your breathing, like go to yoga, or if you walk every day, after a while, a couple of months, your breathing is better, you don't do this anymore, your heartbeat go down. It's even studies about this, that the brain function, if you're walking a certain amount every day in a certain speed, your brain how to connect dots in your life increase dramatically. You don't get depressed, you don't get sickness the same percentage. There is a lot of studies about this. But the interesting part with my study with people with cerebral palsy, I think I tested 300 in a country of Sweden. That's like 7 or 8% of all the people with cerebral palsy in Sweden. And the effect on the test was opposite. So when I stressed them, the pulse went down, they were breathing calmly, the sweating was going, the temperature was going down. But when I told them to be calm, to breathe calm, everything went up. They breathed from up here. The whole system were stressed. My professor, he told me, "Oh, you have done wrong. We have to throw this study out." But I told him, wait a minute. Think about this. The people we tested, they have cerebral palsy. They walk out in the society. What happened with them? They are stressed. They are constantly in stress because the people look at me differently. Since I'm shaking, I cannot hold my hand still. I talk differently. So we are trained in being in a stress situation, walking. So if you practice this a long time, like now, I practice going live on Facebook, YouTube, and so on. My system learns how to be relaxed. So these people I tested, they were active people with cerebral palsy. They went out, so they were trained. When I told them to calm down, the system didn't know what to do because they always are in pressure. So I saved the study because I had cerebral palsy. I could figure out that this was the case. So when I tested so-called normal people, this was not the result. When I told them to think about something that they didn't like or was afraid of, they start breathing from up here, not down in the stomach. The sweating went up there. Oxygen went to 100%. It should be 97, and so on and so on. So that's a normal reaction. You shouldn't constantly be calm. This is something wrong. You have to stress your system. It's good when it's going up, down, but it should be more under control. And we are animals, but we don't live in the bush anymore. We have different stress from society, stress from work, stress from all kind of stuff that you don't have in the jungle. I live in Thailand, so we have jungle here. I really have jungle outside my window. I can see the bamboo here, and because that's another kind of stress. So the stress level in a normal society today is much, much higher. So we are like constantly on stress. So if you buy some equipment to measure your pulse and so on, then you can be more aware over the day. You can check your pulse when you're in a meeting. You can check your pulse when you're watching TV or whatever. And the interesting thing is that if you watch a scary movie, the pulse go up and down, up and down. So, and by having this watch, or there is a lot of watches measuring pulse, you can really see how your parasympathetic system get affected straight away, not 10 minutes, straight away. And that means that maybe you can change your quality in life because you know what things to do at different parts of the day, how to start your morning, how to end your evening, how to work, make pauses, breaks, it's called, regularly, so your system can, you call it relapse? No, I don't know what you call it, so your system are fit again to do the next step of whatever it needs to do. So this was a lot of stuff of biofeedback. So I will end this live stream with a story. It's a really odd story involving biofeedback. So in the 1990 to 92, I went to kind of a university. I had like 80 points. It doesn't matter. And my study was to study sprinter, 30-meter sprinter, and the biofeedback, and I did some relaxing tapes for them, and I did a study from, I think it was 30 sprinters, I don't really remember, and for the school project. And so I met this professor, Bo von Scheele is the name. He is known in some parts of Sweden, and I came with all my books I have read on the subject, and he called me the non-professor who had read nearly as much as any professor he had met, because I read a lot about the brain, how to affect the brain, and Så vi kan komma med det. Max read non-professor he had met. The strange thing with him, he was a pianist. So he played the piano and he stopped doing the piano. He remember he was in Vienna and he was going to perform on a piano, concert pianist, and he was sweating. He was so nervous, and he started to study why is some people nervous so they can't perform, and some people are not. So that's why he started study with biofeedback equipment that measure everything in your body. And the thing is that he had played concerts with my music teacher. I haven't told you so much about him. Abdul Rashman El Khatib. So I went to music school for like 10 years. In the 17th and 18th, I even had a piano concert in front of 500 people with my house. When I come to Abdul, my house was like this, and I could play the grand piano in a big concert when I left him. So he had played and created music together. So it was like, wow, that's kind of strange. That's a little world. And Bo von Feller's professor, where he did his PhD or what you call it. I don't know the different levels of this. Was Lars-Erik Unestål, and he is the founder of mental training. Why I say founder of mental training? He studied mental training and made mental training what it is today. I don't think any sportsman in the world don't know about mental training on a high level. He went around 76, he went to the Olympics and asked different people if they have a mental training team, and they didn't. If you go to my YouTube, you can find the interview I did with Lars-Erik Unestål a couple of years ago about the story, and he will tell you the story how he created mental training, how to picture things before it really happens. So that was his professor. So I'm a music teacher, and I start to work for a professor in biofeedback who has his professor was Lars-Erik Unestål. And why I am in Thailand is because of Lars-Erik Unestål, because he have a retreat center a couple of kilometers from here. So I borrowed his house in the beginning when I lived here in Thailand. So it's like a circle around this. So I've been done mental training, biofeedback for a very, very long time. And I can tell you, it works. It works if you're committed to be aware of yourself. And when you're more aware about yourself, you can control the daily life. That's the goal. Control the ever daily life. Push yourself sometimes, relax, push, relax like I'm doing now. It's 25 minutes. I have talked. Why do I talk 25? Before I talk only 10 minutes. It's not my idea. 10 minutes it's for LinkedIn. You can't be longer than 10 minutes on LinkedIn. On Facebook, YouTube, you can be as long as possible. But if you talk longer than 20 minutes on Facebook, the algorithm of Facebook push you up. And I don't care if people looking 25, some see only part of this. So, but I can really talk long on many subjects, especially biofeedback, because it's very important for you to understand when do your pulse go up, when do your pulse go down, your heart beating, when do your heart beating go up, when do the heart beating go down. That's one of the simplest way of knowing if you're in stress. If I feel my pulse is 100, I know I should have a break that day. I turn off internet, put on a movie, lay down on my bed, don't go out. I can do that because I'm my own. I don't have a work I need to go to, because if I relax that day, I will not get sick, because I could feel 3, 4, 7 days ahead when I was really, really focused. In 7 days, I will be sick. If I relax this day, I will not be sick. If I push the system for 2, 3 more days, then I will be sick for 2 weeks. I couldn't afford to be away from my sport for 2 weeks, because if I lie down sick in fever 2 weeks, it will take me at least 6 weeks to come back to the level I was. And then I have lost 6 weeks training. So it's like 3 months before I'm back where I should have been. So this is why it's important to understand if your pulse go up, pulse go down. Now I'm sweating. I'm sweating because it's hot. I turn off my air conditioner, but I'm relaxed because I'm getting used of this camera in front of me. I don't get stressed about it. I just talk relaxed like I always do. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I see you tomorrow. Please make a comment if you like this. Please make a comment if you want me to talk more about biofeedback or whatever subject. I study biofeedback with this professor for nearly 10 years on a regular basic, daily base, you say. And there's some extraordinary success we had with this, changed people's life literally, and it's really interesting subject. If you have other ideas you want me to talk about, please write that too. I will finish now. Okay, I see you tomorrow. I have no clue what I'm talking of tomorrow. If you have a subject, maybe I take yours. Have a good day. Bye.